Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise for the playing of
the Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast
with your host, the 2023 IBWAA Podcast Host of the Year, Jana, and her big brother, Jack. Am I in the right place?
I think so. I think this is where we're supposed to be.
Is this,
Did your key work to the studio?
Is this potty training 101?
No, it's Sibling Rivalry. No, it's Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. We are back.
Been a little while, and if this is your first time listening in, thanks for joining us. Us and our imaginary bros, apparently.
Yes.
We'll talk a little bit more about what that's all about when we talking around baseball about the Speedway Classic that just happened. We're also going to talk about the All-Star Game and a whole lot more. And of course, we got to get you caught up on like an overview of what's happened with the Dodgers and the Angels in the time that we've been away. So, do you have a good time off?
Yeah. I mean, I had to go back to work a little bit early, but in between that time, was able to do a little traveling, went up to Utah, had some nice time with family. So, with Planethead's side of the family.
Yeah, we got to make sure we give credit where, Planethead's family, not just some random person's family.
No, Planethead's family.
Yes.
He is an important part. He's an integral part of the podcast.
Indeed. All right. So make sure you take a look and find us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. That's also the same if you're finding us on Blue Sky.
Yes, Blue Sky. Do you remember that?
Right.
And you can find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And then on our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, hit the Fanatics link and all the different gear. We got some stuff coming up, like the Little League Classic will be coming up here this month. So there's hats that go with that. And whatever else you want for your favorite team. Or sometimes I remember back in the day, if I knew I was going to somebody's house that was a big fan of one team, and they were playing I would try to get a hat from the opposing team.
Yes.
Just to be contrary.
Yes, just to be contrary. That is you. That sums you up in a nutshell.
Contrary. Thank you.
No.
Not Mary. Quite contrary.
No,
just me. Yeah, there's probably some other words, little harsher words that people have used other than contrary.
Yeah, just in the last couple of days.
Often. Yes, absolutely. All right. So one big thing that we missed by not being here last week was trade deadline.
Yeah.
It seems like it's been more than a week.
I know. It doesn't seem possible that it's only been a week, but it has been.
Yep. Only a week. Some big trades. Some that there were trades that we didn't expect. There were people that moved that we kind of expected, and some that didn't move that we did expect to see go somewhere. Overall, I would say it was kind of a boring trade deadline.
It really was. It was not exciting at all. It wasn't like anything, like this blockbuster trade. I mean, if anything, I guess the Padres, San Diego probably stole the show as far as the trade deadline.
They won the trade deadline. I would agree with that.
But were they, really were they winners of the trade?
Well, they were winners of the cycle as far as the announcements and what they did. Will it turn out to be a win, we won't know till October. As to whether all the moves that they made really made any sense, as far as or made any difference in them making it to their not their first World Series, their third World Series, but can they win it with what
Yeah.
they did? I honestly, when I was watching what they were doing, it reminded me of playing pool with Dad.
Mm.
When Dad would shoot, he may miss something, but he'd tell me, he goes, I may not beat you, but I'm not going to leave you anything.
Yes, and that that sums up AJ Preller perfectly.
Oh yeah, he was out looking for everybody, and anybody that the Dodgers were potentially tied to. And we know a lot of times that top teams, Dodgers, Yankees, and that when people are saying, "Oh yeah, the Dodgers are involved," they may not be, but it's about trying to motivate somebody else, because they certainly don't want the Dodgers to have them when the Dodgers have this embarrassment of riches.
Exactly.
So
Well, that's kind of how I felt. It's almost as though when I'm looking at some of these teams and what they've done, I look at do some of these teams, do they ever want to win? Do they ever want to have any, postseason hopes? And then you have others where we've talked about where the Dodgers are in every conversation, but we know that they're not probably in those conversations. And then you have the Padres that are just like, well, if you want them, I'm going to get them, and you can't have them.
right. Yeah, it's like the the girl out there who likes a guy, but that guy doesn't like her.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to block her. I'm going to block the girl he does like from getting her. And you know what? That was the case. The Padres picked up quite a few players, including going to the A's to grab super closer Mason Miller and pitcher J.P. Sears from the A's, and gave up their number one prospect in Leo DeVries. So that's a big thing.
The Padres traded 11 prospects.
Yeah, now that's a classic win now kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then they traded away decent levels. Like I said, they traded away their number one prospect. In addition to those pitchers, they also were able to get this guy was talked about a lot as a potential trade bait from the Orioles. All-star DH Ryan O'Hearn,
Mm-hmm.
and then Ramon Laureano, because he did need some outfield help. And both those guys left the Orioles, and they're in San Diego as well. And I would say happily, because they're on a contending team now. But
yeah, I would agree with that. They did get Nestor Cortez from the Brewers.
oh, right. I buried the lead there, didn't I? on their their trades.
And who else did they get? Freddie Furman, Keys catcher.
Yeah.
And then I think Will Wagner. But yeah, they got quite a bit, but they also traded prospects. And I think that they're kind of just, they don't care. The Dodgers, on the other hand, are more, we're going to hold on to not all of their prospects, obviously, but there are certain ones they always hold on to. AJ Preller is not of the same mindset as Friedman is.
Not at all. So one thing we got to remember is to kind of start a lot of the trades was Rafael Devers going to San Francisco. We've talked about that because that was pretty early on. Another team that did a lot at the trade deadline, the Yankees.
Yeah, they did.
They were trying to get as many people as they could. They got David Bednar from the Pirates, and just gave up some minor leaguers. They also picked up Camilo Doval.
Yeah.
from the Giants,
Mm-hmm.
closer for them. So,
And then they also got a guy who I have when Max Muncy, when he's not doing Max Muncy things, you're like, oh, get somebody else in there. And Ryan McMahon, who of the Colorado Rockies, and he's always been one that's kind of been linked with the Dodgers in some ways here or there. Again, whether it's true or not, but he is a Yankee. And then the White Sox traded Austin Slater to the Yankees as well.
right. Who didn't get traded from the White Sox? Luis Robert Jr., which was a
Right.
surprise. He
Big-
didn't go
yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah, because his name has always been, anytime there's trades, during trade deadline, during the winter, whatever, his name always comes up. Another guy, this is interesting. So Ahmad Rosario went from the Nats to the Yankees, and then Jake Bird, who is was a pitcher for the Rockies, is also went to the Yankees, but I think he has already been sent to the minors, from my understanding.
Yeah, that could be. I mean, it sounds right.
Yeah.
Some of them got traded, and maybe they were. I'm trying to remember who it was because I saw that and I thought about it. It's like the player that they got was was with the big league team, and when they were brought over, they were assigned to, the AAA team
Yeah.
because they didn't need him up there at that point.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of those.
Yeah. Well, and one guy, and this is with Minnesota, but I kind of want to wait for Minnesota. So Shane Bieber was traded to the Blue Jays, and that was another one, not so much Shane Bieber, but Stephen Kwan, huge. The Dodgers were heavy on Stephen Kwan. I think probably the Padres were in on Stephen. I think a lot of clubs were in, and he stayed. He stays in Cleveland.
Yeah.
And they probably won, that.
Right.
Won that.
That works out. That works out for them for sure.
And then the Mariners, I think, helped their cause as they're with Josh. They got Josh Naylor and Eugenio Suarez.
Well, yeah, they got Josh
back to the Mariners.
They got him early on.
Mm-hmm.
One of the first, when you started seeing kind of the consistent trades, Josh Naylor was there, and then a few days later, back to Seattle. Suarez was Seattle, Cincinnati. I think he was in Cincinnati. Then he went to Seattle, and then Arizona, and now back to Seattle. And Seattle definitely making a move, trying to shore things up so that they can win more than 54%. As Jerry Dipoto said, we just need to win 54%.
That's it. That's all that matters. They also got Caleb Ferguson, old friend. He was with the Dodgers. He was from they got him from the Pirates. Cedric Mullins, formerly of the Orioles, was traded to the New York Mets, along with Ryan Helsley of St. Louis. Was also traded to the Mets. So the Mets were making some moves too to see where they, and I guess too, a lot of it when you're looking at it is where you are in the standings, where you are in the wild card, and trying to get some things. I think the Merrill Kelly from Arizona went to the Rangers, so Arizona was more sellers than buyers. And Brian Hayes of the Pirates, he can chew sunflower seeds in Cincinnati because he is now a Red.
Right. I'd forgotten about him. He was one of the early ones too.
Yeah, and then Charlie Morton, I know he's getting up there, but he was on the Orioles. He went to the Tigers. And then I think this was a surprise to me because I felt like he was a player that would probably stay in San Francisco his whole career, but Mike Yastrzemski was traded to the Royals.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise to me also, and it wasn't like he went to a contending team necessarily. I mean, the
Mhm.
Royals are in that mix and, like the top 5 without at this point.
Yeah.
Um, but I was a little surprised because they both have the same sub 500 record at the time of the trade.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of others. There was some smaller trades. We'll talk about what the Angels and the Dodgers did when we get to their segments. And a couple of there was a move there with the Dodgers that I think a lot of people had been thinking about it, but I'm not sure that they were. Um, I think some people were surprised by it. So we'll talk about that coming up. Any other trades that you could think of that just pop up off the top of your head there? Or?
The Minnesota Twins gave away their whole
Yes,
team.
they did,
And they were
including
asking fans, just like the Portland was it
Pickles.
Pickles did. They were asking fans to come out of the stands to play because they had
Right.
nobody. I mean, they
No,
had Byron Buxton. I think he's still around, and Pablo
eh,
Lopez.
they had to. Well, and I saw that at the end of this season, they only have 2 players under contract for next season, and those are those 2 that you
Yeah.
just mentioned. That included sending Carlos Correa back to Cheaterland.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I think they're on a they're away, but when they get to their homestand and Correa comes out on the field, the 2 cheaters, Altuve and Correa, back together again.
Right. It's
It'll be magical.
all you need to do. And I saw one of the like facts on MLB. So it's a parody site, if we haven't mentioned that before, saying that Alex Bregman was upset that the Asterix didn't try to trade for him
Yes, to bring back the old gang.
to bring that all along. And, if that's the case, I'm pretty sure George Springer's not going to leave Toronto as great as Toronto's been playing, but he'd
Yeah,
be another
no.
one. There's not many of those guys left.
No,
And I
there's
don't
not.
think that any of us now, if we were finally getting to a point with the asterisks, it's like, okay, it's almost time for Tiny to be done.
Mhm.
And you're kind of like easing up on the asterisks hating. Bringing Correa back intensifies it once again.
Yes, it's come back even like 1,000%. I mean, they always get booed at Dodger Stadium, but regardless of the team they're on, but the 2 of them back together. I mean, and Correa I thought was interesting because he had a no trade clause, so he had to lift the no trade clause, but he still has a house in, still has a home in Houston, still has ties there. So I thought that was odd that he had he had a no trade clause to anywhere,
That's
or
probably easier. Just like I have a no trade clause across the board instead of
yeah,
saying I don't want to be traded here or there.
right.
Maybe really he didn't, but he saw that ever since he left, the Asterix are still making the playoffs every year.
Mhm.
That's not always the case with the Twins. And
No.
this year, they had to call up like 10 or 11 players from the minors in order to field a team
Yeah, I mean,
after the trade deadline.
so you mentioned Carlos Correa, Willie Castro, he went to the
Right.
Cubs. Chris Paddock, and then this went to the Tigers. Harrison Bader went to the Phillies. Griffin Jacks went to the Tampa Bay Rays, and I understand that he was the one that asked to be traded. Not sure.
Because he saw the
He
writing on the
saw
wall.
the writing on the wall. And Taylor Rogers was traded to the Pirates and then traded to the Cubs. And then the most interesting one is the reliever, Duran, because all of a sudden I'm like, what is his first name?
I don't even know how to say his first name.
I know. I don't really do either, but Duran, when he comes out of the bullpen, it's a whole production, and he wanted to continue that in Philadelphia. So the Twins their, I don't know, production crew, whoever it is, they sent over the sound, the soundtrack, I guess, and and what kind of graphics they need to put out there, so he would have that, because it is a production when he comes out of the bullpen.
Like, what's his name? Edwin Diaz, back when Timmy Trumpet or whatever his name is, Tommy
Yeah.
Trumpet, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Would play his song. Yeah, that's a lot.
It's yeah. It seems like a lot. I mean, I know that all the guys, the really pitchers, they have songs that they walk out to, just like the hitters do, the batters.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But when you have that big production and then you get on the mound and then say the first batter you face and you give up a home run or you give up a hit, and then the next one it's kind of like,
have a
are you
bad
really
night.
that great, to have
Right.
that production? Maybe
Especially
not do
if
it
that's
every
the first
time.
time you've ever seen him like that or seen the whole production.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had heard that they thought if he left if Duran left the Twins, that Griffin Jax may not. And because that goes. I honestly, when we went and saw the Twins play the Dodgers,
Mm-hmm.
Griffin Jax was the guy that I was hoping they might go after. But they didn't. And he wanted to be traded. Maybe they could have done that.
Yeah, no, it says that the Twins, it was in the final moments, because that's when it seems like a lot of the bigger trades happen, because you got to get everything ready. But that he had requested a trade, and the main reason was because he saw the extent of Minnesota's sell-off. And we saw that. You saw where guys were traded, and one was a doubleheader. They were playing a doubleheader, and they were, they now for the second game, they're in the other uniform.
Yeah, you saw him walking up to the bullpen, and I think they had kind of like the stacked bullpens like they have in Anaheim.
Yeah.
And he went back over there, and when he walked by, he waved to all his former teammates from just an inning or two before,
Yeah.
And who was it? There was another one that got traded middle of the game.
Yeah, and had to go to the clubhouse. I can't remember.
So the Twins sold off the most, I think.
They
followed
did.
probably by the D-backs. Now, some of the names that we thought going with the D-backs didn't go anywhere, like Zach Gallen, but Merrill Kelly was traded.
Mm-hmm.
Randall Grichuk, who has been having a pretty good year. He also went to the Royals. The Royals actually got 3 veteran outfielders. Yastrzemski,
and then
Adam Frazier.
Mm-hmm. Oh, right. Forgot about Adam Frazier.
And then Grichuk. And then, so you figure they lost those. They lost, they traded away both their corners, first and third base. The D-backs did. So it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, they also had like Shelby Miller and Jordan Montgomery. They went to Milwaukee. But
yeah, I'd forgotten about Montgomery. He was supposed to be, and he got injured, and then he just didn't pitch well. So him going. Shelby Miller, geez, that guy's still around?
Yeah, he is. He's still around.
So there is definitely has been that was definitely interesting in some of the moves that were kind of unexpected. I didn't really think Carlos Correa was going to go anywhere, but then he did.
He did. I was surprised by. I mean, I guess I'd say surprised. But yeah, it did surprise me because Minnesota was just trading all these people, and then it was like, oh yeah, Carlos Correa, he's going back to Houston. But I haven't seen anything, but was Correa also kind of seeing the writing on the wall and thinking,
yeah,
I got to get out of here. I don't care about what are they? The Juicy Lucy hamburgers that they have in Minneapolis that he was raving about. He doesn't.
He's got enough money they can just, they could express ship him some, or he could just
Yes.
stop in there. I didn't look at the look at and see if Houston and if the Asterisks have to go to Minnesota still, but
Oh, right.
he
Yeah.
can still get,
Yeah.
you
He
so.
can still get it.
I did think that the Guardians would sell more, but the Guardians have been gaining on the Tigers. The Tigers have had a tough second half so far.
Mm-hmm.
And of course their issues are, and we'll talk about this later as well in Around Baseball. Emmanuel Clase, basically, who a lot of people thought he might go somewhere, went nowhere, thanks to being suspended. And we'll talk about that. Shane Bieber, who's injured, coming back from injury and surgery, ended up with the Blue Jays. So good spot for him, as the Blue Jays are on fire. But the East has been, once the Blue Jays got hot, they stayed hot. Boston's gotten hot.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, them, and then the Yankees had a pretty good thing, and then the Yankees just can't seem to be able to win a game coming out of at least the trade deadline.
Yeah.
So, and they made moves. They're surprising some of the people, and I was also surprised, that Quan didn't get traded to somebody.
Yeah, because his name was like a kind of, I guess, like the headliner name, but a lot of teams wanted him and they didn't. They're like, nope, we're keeping him. So,
And not
we'll
a bad
see how
idea.
that.
He's,
No.
if you still think you can do something, and unlike teams like, say, the Angels, who have a similar record, a sub 500 record, I see Cleveland has enough pieces to push beyond and find their way back over 500. The Angels haven't proven they can do that yet. So we'll see. Anyway, crazy. All the trades, we'll see how all this comes out. And one thing we'll see is if the Padres try to turn Mason Miller into a starter.
Ooh.
There's been talk about that, because they already have like 4 of the best relievers.
Yeah.
Where does Mason Miller fall in and all that stuff? He's not going to take Robert Suarez's place.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know if he ever wanted to be a starter, but that's the word. So we'll see if any of these, especially when we're watching what happened with the Drags, if that's going to help them get past the Dodgers. Unless we know the Dodgers help them.
It's time for Dodger Baseball.
And talking about the Dodgers, it is time for Dodger Baseball. They have been giving the Padres a little help.
Yeah, they have.
They
have been.
They've just been, the month of July was terrible for them overall. But the weird thing is while a lot of hand wringing in Dodger Town by the fans.
Yes.
If you listen to Dave Roberts, it's baseball.
Well, and you really, there's a lot of hand wringing, but when you look at where they were last year compared to where they were this year, it's very similar. The record was very similar. They still had very similar IL list, I guess, guys on the IL.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's hard for Dodger fans because we're used to a high level of competition from the Dodgers, and then we don't see it. But they played, between the times that when we were off, they played 18 games, and they were 9-9 over those 18 games.
The weird thing is is they were 9-9, but they had 4 series wins.
Yes.
And then, at the break, going into the All-Star break, they were 58-39 with a 5.5 game lead on the West. When they, as of the third, they're 65-47, but I think it's down to, at that point, 3 games over the
Yes.
Dregs.
Yeah, it's a little too close. And that's what was interesting as I was going through the series. It's like, oh, okay, they were 9-9, but they won the series versus the Giants. They were swept by Milwaukee. Milwaukee was just like so good.
Well, they were like, at that point when they met them, they pretty much were the best team in baseball.
Yes.
Record-wise. They were they were winning, and they just, like I said, couldn't be stopped.
And then they played Minnesota, won that series, lost the series in Boston, and then won the series in Cincinnati, surprisingly, because it was, and I guess to Tampa Bay, they won that series, and the guys were like, it is so humid in Cincinnati, and then it was really humid in Florida, and they were like, this is my third jersey that I put on today during the game. This it was crazy.
Yeah,
and then
Cincinnati, and they tried to give away the series in Cincinnati,
I think
a
yes,
couple of times, and
Mhm.
there was a scare in
There was a
Cincinnati.
huge scare in Cincinnati. Shohei was pitching, and he just didn't look right. He threw, I think, at one point like
Six
straight balls.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I mean, it just
didn't
was.
look like himself at
It
all.
was like, this is crazy. And then we find out he had cramps. It was from dehydration, probably, and the humidity was just really hurting him. And so it's like, oh no, what's
When the
happening with
humidity's that
Shohei?
bad, it doesn't matter how much water you drink or
No.
Gatorade or any of that stuff.
Mm-mm.
And he had Tyler Glasnow syndrome with leg cramps.
Yeah.
And,
Well, and even kind of in his hips, it was just everywhere. And then that's when they said, oh, I think it was the on-field reporter. And it's like, oh, he's got, maybe something in his hip. And it's like, oh no, it can't be his hip because, that's he's going to go on the IL. But he went down, I guess, toward the clubhouse and came back and hit for the rest of the
finished the game. He just couldn't pitch
he
anymore.
finished the game, yeah. And even, Shohei has been, I think it's off a little bit, and some people
Which
are
is
saying
weird to say about a guy who's got like 38 home runs or something
I
like
know,
that.
that's what's crazy, and has been pitching, when he's been pitching well, with the exception of the outing in Cincinnati, which
Well, we'll see because he's pitching coming up in the first series back home.
Mhm.
So we'll see how that works out versus St. Louis.
But I think also, like, some of the things, when I think about the Dodgers, you have the curious case of Mookie Betts. Like, what happened to Mookie?
Over this last 18 games, he batted 161. Went 10 for 62. He had 3 doubles, 3 RBIs, struck out 12 times to 7 walks. So yeah, it's like what is going on? And it seems like I don't know that it's fair to say he's given up,
Yeah.
but it's like I've done all I can do. It's in God's hands now.
Yeah. Well, and another thing,
I
I know that I know he's a hard worker, and most of the guys, I would say all the players are out at Dodger Stadium working out. They're there even before they, need to report. But I see Mookie Betts everywhere. He's got a podcast that he does. He was in a Naked Gun.
Yeah, he was in a promo for
Like a promo
ESPN
for that
kind of thing.
Yeah,
Where
and then he and Kike were in a commercial, and I'm just like, maybe there's too much you're doing too much on that's non-baseball, and you got to focus just on the baseball.
And
so it's like,
maybe
I don't want to focus on the exporting and just focus on the importing.
somebody better go talk to him. That's an important conversation to have, because thinking about giving up
Yeah.
or doing both.
Yeah.
And
But this is the thing I don't get with Dave Roberts. So they moved Shohei to the second in the lineup. And a lot of that was like, well, when he's pitching, it's hard because he has to come off the mound and he's got a quick change. Like, they were like Superman, and all of his stuff is there. Bat Boy has it all ready for him, but he's got to get up there. And then they said, okay, we're going to move Mookie to the leadoff, which he's had been in leadoff for a long time. That was his spot. Thinking, oh yeah, that'll spark it. And it hasn't sparked anything. And I'm thinking he needs to be at least a number 7 in the lineup.
that's my thoughts. The bottom 3, wherever Miggy hits, because Miggy is a light hitting shortstop.
Yeah.
I mean, he can go on a streak, but overall, you don't expect a lot from him. He bats in the hundreds.
Yeah.
You would and so that's where Mookie should be. There's enough other guys on this team that are batting better. And instead of wasting all those at bats at him, put him down there. Maybe that'll motivate him. He wants to be up at the top. Put him at the bottom. I know when I got dropped in Little League of all places, it was like, I don't want to bat 8th. So I got better.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to bat higher.
Well, I think the same thing. I mean, we saw Freddie Freeman. He was up and down in the lineup or in the batting order as well. And the funny thing is with Freddie Freeman, I think we're finally seeing him come back around to who we know as Freddie Freeman.
He's back over 300.
Back over 300. And what's interesting is, you had the whole, while we were gone, there was the Coldplay incident. I don't know. Is it Coldplay Gate? Do we call it that? Anyway.
Well, anything that is like a controversial kind of thing like that, just add a gate to the end of it.
Yes. So, and somebody had sent him a meme of that, but it was of him hitting the home run in the first game of the World Series, and he noticed his stance was different. He, there was something different about how he, with his ankle, with his leg, and we can thank Coldplay for that.
Or whoever sent him the thing.
But I mean, really, whoever created it and then sent it to him, but it was ultimately, Coldplay.
I don't remember the name of the company now, but Chris Martin and the CEO and Human Resource Director or whatever.
Yes, that's who we need.
Whatever that company's name was.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't know. But yeah, so that was interesting. But we see he seems to be. I see him smiling.
Incorporated or something like that.
I think, yeah, Cheaters Are something like. Oh no, that's in Houston. I forgot.
Yeah, they weren't in Houston, were they?
No. You see him.
That would have been too funny, though.
I know. That would have been awesome. You see him smiling more, and not to say that he's all the way, but he's back to. I mean, he makes great plays. He's defensively like first baseman, just awesome. But he's coming back, and we
seems
need
like
Mookie.
He's re-engaged.
Yes, that is perfect because he has felt it. He has felt kind of distant, like he's at the plate, and then he was swinging at things, at pitches, and you're like, that is not. He knows better. It's like that's not what Freddie does.
He needs to talk to Mookie.
Yeah, and maybe he will. I hope he does.
Because that's Mookie. He's swinging at pitches that, I get when you see, once you get a feel for what the umpire's calling, and, the pitchers all try to throw out of the strike zone. to get swing and misses. That's a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what you see though, if he's throwing a ball that's, like a sinker baller type of pitch or slightly off the plate and they're getting called, then I need to be swinging at things there. But there's times where there's balls all the way so far out that they're leaning way across, like back in the days when you used to throw out for an intentional walk,
Right.
and
Mm-hmm.
they're swinging at stuff that far out,
Yeah.
and it's like, just you need to stop, you need to refocus or
Well, it's also
re-engage.
yeah, and it seems like sometimes I know they're not. They have both hands on the bat, but sometimes it's almost like they just are swinging with one with one arm.
Well, you can
I
see,
mean, that's
like,
kind of how it feels.
I think I sent you a picture one time, but you can tell when Shohei's on and when he's really in at the at bat and when he's not. Because when he swings, if his head is going, if he's pulling his head out, he's not really paying attention, then and he's not seeing the ball.
Right.
He's not going to do well. But when you see him when he's focused in, watch just about every single hit, especially the home runs, he's looking at the ball hit the bat. He's that right down the line.
Yeah.
And when he's away from that. And I think that comes to play too when you see these other guys, very similar. When they get away from staying focused, head down and in, and that's what's happened a lot with these guys, especially with Shohei, Mookie, and Freddie. Will Smith has been pretty consistent. Teo's been fairly consistent, not in a good way necessarily, but
Yeah.
he's kind of just average. But honestly, at the end of the day, the Dodgers have a lot of above average players and they just need the rest of the guys to be average.
Yeah.
And they don't really get that because these guys are like, they're average. Conforto can be average and then he's way less than average. There's a couple other players. You get that. You need more. Andy Pages has become above average.
Yes.
So they just need that. And I think that they need to figure out how to better give the Comet, Hyesung Kim, more runway. And then I think, too, we're also going to see Max Muncy's coming back. They're calling up one of their top prospects in Alex Freeland. So next week, we'll have some conversations about what happened with those guys coming back. And then we got Blake Snell is coming back as well. So, yeah, they had some definitely, it was, in fact, Blake Snell came back versus Tampa.
Yeah.
Not a great outing, but when I went back and looked, the one thing you look, when he's been out during the season, for some point, when he comes back, he usually gets good and he finishes the season strong. He won that Cy Young. He was out for a couple of months and still came back so strong that he won the Cy Young.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and you look at the pitchers, you have Yoshinobu Yamamoto. He is got a 2.51 ERA. And so he's at the top of, for the Dodger rotation, but then you have Clayton Kershaw, who's looked good. And then Tyler Glasnow is back, and has looked good as well. You mentioned Blake Snell. Shohei is ramping up to, where he was pitching 4 innings, and hopefully he can start pitching 5.
Wasn't he supposed to go to 4 in Cincinnati when all that happened?
I think that was the plan. So then you have Emmett Sheehan, who has been a guy who has started games, but also has been, when Shohei's done, then he's come in, and he's actually looked pretty good. And then Roki Sasaki is on the IL, but he has been in Arizona and he has been pitching, and he is scheduled to pitch 3 simulated innings this weekend. And then the plan is for him to go on a rehab assignment. So,
and I heard he picked up a new pitch. as well
Yeah.
that he's learned through all that. So that
And
that
he's
could
like,
be a
I
good
mean,
thing.
he's 23. He's got, I think for him, the biggest thing is he really has to prove himself that he belongs on this
Well,
big
I did
league,
see
big
that
league
while
club.
he's been out, he's not just been away from the team. He's been there at the games. Said they
Mhm.
wanted him to see. He's got to get familiar with MLB baseball.
Yeah.
He can't. And so by learning that, by seeing things, now let's see if he can put it into play.
Right.
So that'll be pretty interesting. So the Dodgers coming up, they've got, they finished up a series yesterday with St. Louis. We'll talk about that next week. And then they've got the Blue Jays
Mhm.
coming in, and then they're on the road to play the Angels. And then the first of back-to-back weeks with the Dregs.
Yeah. That's going to be I think that's going to be a good test to see. I mean, that's always been good, and I heard that Mason Miller said that when he first got to the clubhouse, they were like, "We don't like the Dodgers, and you don't like them either."
Our goal
You know.
is to beat the Dodgers, even if we don't do anything else.
That's it. That's the goal.
So if it was only one series, I'd say, it's only August. Don't worry about it. But because they're going to be playing them back to back,
Mhm.
the Dodgers have shown in the past where last year when they played them, even though the Padres were close to eliminating them, the
Yeah.
Dodgers never seemed worried about it. And they
Right.
need to play them the same way. They need to play with some urgency because they are nipping at their heels.
Yes.
But this is the time to increase that lead and give yourself some breathing room as you're getting all these guys back so that you can continue to build towards that.
Yeah. I mean, and the Dodgers they did make some trades, and we'll see, will they help? They one of the trades, they got a guy from Minnesota. He's been a Dodger. When he was a Dodger, he wasn't great. He was mediocre, but apparently he's better. I don't know. Brock Stewart. So we'll see. I don't know.
Well, we'll talk
how
about him. We'll talk
how-
about him next week
And then they got an outfielder, and Alex Call from
the
the
Nationals.
Nats, and I think he's a left-handed hitter, if I'm right. And so we need more left-handed hitters. And then they got some guys that you're like, who are these guys? I don't know who they are. They traded Dustin May to the Red Sox, and they got one of the top Red Sox prospects in James Tibbs III, and then another prospect, Zach Earhart, but James Tibbs III supposedly was the big nugget there. And Dustin May, they said they talked to Dustin because they were going to put him, thinking about moving him to the bullpen. He wants to be a starter. So that's what they did. But Dustin May said that he felt like he was pushed out from the Dodgers. I don't think so. I mean,
He was.
yes.
You know why?
But,
Because he wasn't performing.
right. And you have to look at, we just talked about this rotation. He doesn't fit into that rotation.
And-
I like Dustin May. I think I enjoyed watching him pitch. When he was on, he was good, but too often he just fell apart. He'd have one maybe good inning, maybe. But those first pitch strikes, he had to have them, and they were very few and far between. I mean, we saw him pitch against the Mets, and he's kind of like, he got it, but he was just kind of all over the place. He was not consistent, and you got to be consistent when you
he wasn't
pitch.
putting enough pitches together.
Right.
In order to get what he needed. And that was the problem. He'd go for 2 or 3 innings, and then you're looking, hey, he's cruising, and then he'd give up 5 runs.
Yeah.
So.
And then James Outman was traded to the Twins, along with Hunter Fiducia, who's a catcher, Eric Swan, and Sean Paul Lennon, who they were minor leaguers, but the big one was James Outman. And I think James Outman, he had to have known, right, that he was
If somebody got pushed out,
it would be James Outman.
yeah, he was out, man.
Yeah, he was. Because, and again, he came in, he was supposed to be, it, and he had flashes, but he was he was pushed out, sent back to Oklahoma City multiple times. So maybe, obviously, playing with the Twins, he should have a spot to play because they don't have anybody to play in the outfield. So he should be in the lineup every game. But
yeah, they just needed him as a body.
yeah.
Oh, good, we got somebody that we don't have to do the raffle. Tonight's lucky fan.
Yeah, seat number, section number. Yeah, so
You'll be the DH tonight.
The Dodgers also got I mean, I don't even know Paul Gervais, who is a left-handed pitcher. They got a catcher, Ben Rortvet.
Yeah, I'd heard of him. He's kind of like depth. He's a depth piece. He's not going to be. It's like, Russian got injured. Okay, we'll call up him.
Yeah.
I've seen his name. He's been up before. I don't remember if it was with them or what team, but yeah, and one of those pitchers, I don't remember if it was Gervais or the other guy that they got, who was the bigger prospect, had spent time and was up with the team, with the major league team, and got sent down with the Dodgers. So
yeah. I mean, the Dodgers didn't. I think it, as they always are always in every. Stephen Kwan, Mason Miller, all of them. They were in on him, and I think in some cases they really were. And AJ Preller, he's. We talked about this. It makes me think of Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. And this is the Padres, and they're always trying to, get the Roadrunner, and the Roadrunner is the Dodgers, and they can just never, they speed past them, beep beep, and keep going.
And they're the tortoise and the hare as well. All the different comparisons, because they'll run past, and then the Dodgers are just going slow and steady. And that's the thing, is that Andrew Friedman said at the beginning of the season, in the off season, I'm building a team so that I don't have to overpay for somebody at the trade deadline.
Well, and a lot of times too, during the trade deadline, you get guys that are rentals because they're going to be free agents, in the next season. And we've seen that, like Manny Machado. We got Manny Machado, and then we're happy to see him leave because he was, his last at bat in the World Series that was his tenure. That
was his cup of tea, as it were.
that what is it? Encapsulated his tenure with the Dodgers, and maybe why he hates us. We don't like the Dodgers. I don't know, but he just
Well, you know what? He takes that whole thing. Him and Tatis both take it to pro wrestling levels.
Yeah, I think so.
They're trying to villainize the Dodgers, and in San Diego, the Dodgers are the villains, and they're the heroes. Any place else the Padres go, they're they want to be the villains, and because they can do this, just like the Astros. You tell me that both Altuve and Correa, and even Bregman has had it. Springer has had it in other places. We'll probably see when the Dodgers play Toronto. Springer will be in town. They'll probably boo him too.
Yeah.
And these guys, especially Altuve and Correa, they're kind of like that. The hands rubbing together. They're happy to be the villains.
Yeah,
and
they like
they
that
all want to be
role.
Boris. And so I guess Altuve would be Boris, and Correa would be Natasha. Short and tall.
Yeah,
So that'd be
that's
the way.
perfect. Yeah, I like that.
So over the 18 games that the Dodgers had, we talked about Mookie not being great. Will Smith, Shohei only hit 250 during that with 7 home runs. Clayton Kershaw had 3 gave up 9 runs and 22 hits, struck out 10 over the 4 games that he pitched. Yoshi only a 1.46 ERA in the games that he pitched. The guy that I saw that had the best 18 games was Freddie Freeman.
Yeah.
So he's my player of our time off. And he batted .333 with a couple of home runs. One of those in the humidity in Tampa, and 13 RBIs in that. So yeah, he's certainly coming back.
Yeah. That'd be unanimous for me. Going through and looking. I mean, Will Smith has been, I think he is consistent, and but when you really look at the player of our time off would be Freddie. And it's good to see Freddie Freeman back in where you can see him in the dugout and he's talking and he's laughing and he's on the field and he's interacting, where he wasn't really doing that before. Now we just need Freddie to talk to Mookie, pull him aside.
Yep. All right, taking a look at the Angels, who have decided with their trade deadline, we're not going to sell because we won a couple of games. So
Yeah.
we're going to buy. But what we found is they didn't really do that either.
No.
They did, in the sense that they didn't sell off any parts. Everybody that we thought was going to be traded from the Angels or potentially traded, none of them left, which made a lot of the guys happy. I know Taylor Ward was like, "No, don't break up our team. We've got team chemistry and that stuff." And Perry said, "I just want to. I want my team to play, or this team to play meaningful games in August and September."
Yeah,
But
he
he didn't
did
do
not
anything.
mention October.
No. But I guess, wouldn't that be, it goes without saying, if you get to play in October, they're all meaningful games at that point.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
But
I mean, you looked at like Tyler Anderson. He was one that was mentioned quite a bit as a pitcher or player that would be traded. Didn't happen. Kenley Jansen, his name came up. I think they could have, depending on what they wanted to get, Joe Adele could have, been somebody that they may have been able, who they would get. I don't know, but
Taylor Ward was one for
Taylor
sure.
Ward, yes, definitely. Yeah.
But and Kenley Jansen, Reed Detmers, these were guys, as far as the pitchers like you were talking about, even Kyle Hendricks was mentioned in all that stuff. And, the one thing that the Angels have is they have a lot of players under team control for a while. The 2 guys that I, was sure weren't going to go anywhere, Shanuel and Neto. Those guys, they're definitely part of the core of the team. Logan O'Hoppe, they could have probably done something with him because unless he can come back from whatever's been going on with him, I'm wondering if he's kind of losing whatever that was at the beginning that he had that put him there, because he's kind of fallen apart.
Yeah.
When Travis d'Arnaud, who would have been my player of the week before the All-Star break, if we'd have talked about that stuff, he he was really contributing, and I think he still contributes in a lot of different ways, even if he's not playing or he's not hitting the ball and that stuff. So, the only thing that they did really big, they did get 3 players. They traded for from the Nationals. They got Andrew Chafin and former Dodger from earlier this season,
Yeah.
Luis Garcia. It was funny because Chafin, there were a few posts about Chafin that said when he got traded to Texas last year, his quote was, "At least it's not California." And when they asked him about it now, he said, he says, California's California, and everybody's been cool here at the team. So,
Yeah, and he said he got to go fishing, so he liked that.
Yeah. And that's
That's
a
something.
big thing. And I wonder if they gave him a second locker so he could have his beer refrigerator in
Right.
the second locker. That was important to him in
Yeah.
DC. So, and really, a lot of people were upset that it's like, why'd you get those guys? But they didn't give up anything in the big picture for what they got.
No.
They gave up a pitcher everybody was ready to get rid of when he was pitching Jake Eater, and he wasn't great. So he wasn't going to be there with the Angels unless they really needed him, and then Sam Brown, who was a first baseman, and they just let him be. No need for that. And then they did pick up from the Yankees, Oswaldo Peraza, who a lot of people were like, because they ended up having to DFA or just outright release Kevin Newman.
Right.
It was like Peraza's just a Latino version of Newman.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see. But that's going to be something. We'll know how he's been playing because we'll, talk about next week with
I thought it was interesting. Jeff Passan, he's baseball writer. He said that during the trade deadline, of course, after we always talk winners, losers, they give out grades, awards, and stuff like that. And he called out the Angels in their process of trading and said that the Angels, they're going to be the Angels. That's just what we've learned. They don't do anything like anyone else. They draft guys to bring them to the big leagues as soon as they possibly can. The development plan that's in place there is get your butt up to the big leagues and see if you can swim, boys.
I think that in one thing that you got to give Perry some credit for is that he does draft college players primarily. In this last draft that happened just before the All-Star game, he did take some high school players higher up, but the players that he takes are guys who, because he sees that as a little bit of a minor league thing, and he must know that their development system is below average. So he wants guys that are already on the verge of being MLB ready.
Yeah.
Not guys that they have to develop, because he's got to know that the development process in the minors is bad. Guys who have been there, guys like Caden Dana, who top of the prospect list, when he gets there, he had one good game. He's pitched terribly ever since. What's his name? Aldegari. Same things. A lot of these guys that come up, they're not very good. So a lot of things the Angels should be doing is doing like the Dodgers do. Go out there and pick up these guys who are borderline, sign them to minor league contracts. So that way they're good enough, they're major league tested, that you might get something good out of them. And then you call them up when you need them. And then when somebody comes back off the DEL or the IL or something like that, then you could just release them.
Yeah.
Or DFA them, and if nobody wants them, then they go back to the minors if they still want to play.
Right.
The Angels don't play that smart that way.
Right.
And I would think that would work because Artie's not going to care about that because he's not having to pay very much money for these guys.
Yeah, and I think he has a lot of say behind the curtain. And I'm sure he tells Perry, this is how much you have to spend, like a little kid. Here's your money. Here's how much you have to spend. Don't spend all of it. I want my change back.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's good. So the Angels went 9-10 because they played 19 games during that time frame. As of the third, they were at 54-58. So I mean, it sounds reasonable. There's a lot of other teams that are right in that same time or that same area, but just when you think they're going to do something, they fall apart. So it's not saying they can't do it. The question is, this team that they so badly wanted to hold together because of the chemistry, can they continue to do it? We talked about how they used the same five starters all season, and then Jack Kahanowitz had terrible outings, got sent down. Well, then they called him back up, and he had another bad outing. They didn't go get a starter, and part of it, I'm sure, is that they didn't have anything that anybody else wanted.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
they wanted too much. Okay, we'll take this guy, and throw in this guy because really we're not even sure about those other two guys, but we're willing to do it for bulk. We'll take the quantity,
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even do that. So they end up with a less than the Dodgers even. Like I said, the Angels are going to be the Angels. They did win 3 series. Surprisingly, right before the All-Star break, they took out Arizona. They did beat Philly.
Yeah, that was big.
That was a huge one. Then they got swept by the Mets, but they split with Seattle, which I think is the problem. Was that made them reconsider selling because they thought, well, we competed. And then they also won versus Texas. So those two teams are the ones that they've got to compete with to get up in the standings. And then because they won the series versus the Rangers, they were, we're going to change everything.
Yeah,
And
let's change the menu.
If you follow our Twitter, I was on there posting, for us, I guess, but a lot of it was everybody was talking about what they do, and I said, you don't have to be a full-on seller. You just have to smart about your selling and your buying. You just got to be. There were more moves that they could make that would actually have moved the needle towards the Angels playing games that really will be meaningful. And the other thing that I think gets lost is that even if they didn't change anything, the Angels have shown that they can be a good team at times, better than last year for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think that I think one thing that's holding them back right now is I've seen in some of these games, especially after the All-Star break, that Ray Montgomery's he's not management material. He doesn't pull people. He doesn't make moves when he needs to. And I think some of that is because he came out of the analytics department. And even though he's been a scout, even though he played a little bit, he's not managing it because he's looking at all the numbers. Yes, we had issues with the way Ron Washington did things sometimes. But Ron Washington was like Joe Madden in the fact that he knows the numbers, but he also says, he uses old time, to make these changes. I got a feeling about this. Sometimes you got to play a hunch. And as a comedy bit about the old show Dragnet went, sometimes the hunch pays off, sometimes it doesn't. But I got a hunch.
That's it. You got a hunch.
But isn't that the way of everything? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. That's life. It's
I think you just got to try it. Like
when
I think
they say people are day to day, we're all day to day. And everything is that 1 minute you try something, even if you've had great success with it, maybe one time. We know Kenley Jansen has really only had one bad outing this year versus the Tigers when Riley Green took him yard twice in the same inning. or he did. It wasn't the same inning because he was out by then, but he had that one bad outing. Since then, he's been pretty consistent. But you got to go with the guys that you're pretty sure are going to do it, and sometimes it's just not going to happen. It's one thing when you send Mookie up to the plate, or Mike Trout. In this case, you send Mike Trout up to the plate, and you're thinking he can do something, and then he strikes out and looks dumb doing it. Then that's that one thing. If it becomes a pattern, that's something different. But you're always happy and you're always feeling he could do something. Every time Shohei comes to the plate, you're not sure, but one thing you're sure of, magic could happen. Mike Trout hasn't fully regained that, but he was the same guy. One time he might strike out, but the next time he might hit a 3-run home run.
Well, that's
or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and I think you're like just looking at Shohei, and you hear him. Okay, Shohei's gonna, he's gonna be, if we can get him up to the plate, same thing, because something could happen, and Mike Trout, should fall into that too. I think he said in the series versus the Rangers pitchers, I think about Mike Trout got hit. There was some, it just felt like
Yeah, it was
people were
like
just
4
getting
players.
hit. Yeah, just
Neto got hit twice.
Yeah, and it's like, and Ray Montgomery said, I don't think they're doing it on purpose, but it's like, come on. And then they, benches cleared. Yeah, like benches cleared, and it was really between him and Bruce Bochy, which, it was taking forever for Bruce Bochy to even get out of the dugout to even, have words with Ray Montgomery. But, and then this funny thing is always when the bullpen, nothing really happened, but bullpen comes running in. It's like, oh, we're here.
That's the
and
most
everything's
exercise.
gone.
You know what? That's part of their, pregame warm-ups, and you see the players out running in the field.
Yeah.
That's their, during the game playoffs. So
Yes.
Like my watch, when I've set too long, it tells me time to get up and get moving.
Yeah.
And that's what happens in there. And they're like, oh, well, we better go,
We better go. We got to get out there.
That's, hey guys, time for our mid-game sprint.
Yeah. But in that moment, Mike Trout said, yeah, that, that was good for Ray Montgomery to do that, he had our back. And I see, you see those things, but it's just how do the Angels put it all together to be consistent? Because when you look, they won a series, they were swept, they split, they won, they lost. And there's no, it's just the inconsistency with the players.
Yeah.
And with the manager, I would say.
Next week, we'll talk a little bit more, some of what happened in some of the games.
Yeah.
Just, highlights of a couple things. And there was something that happened in one of the games versus Tampa that I think every Angel fan was screaming at whatever they were watching the game on, or at the MLB at Bat app.
Yeah.
Because it was just the worst thing. And that's what happens. They've got to play, instead of playing meaningful games, because there's a lot of teams that are going to play the rest of the way out that are going to be playing meaningful games because they're in the playoff hunt. The Angels need to stop worrying about the playoffs at this point and play meaningfully in all games.
Mm-hmm.
And see if that makes any difference. And they're going to need a couple of guys to pick it up. Zach Neto's still playing pretty consistently. He's been batting around 275. He has a couple games where he'll do real well, a couple of bad games. Shanuel's been the most consistent over the 19 games. It was he hit 338, 5 doubles, only 1 home run, but he's not a power guy. You would think when you see him might be a little more power, but who cares? He's getting on base. Let's you keep that up. Rengifo, another one who we thought might be traded, batting 302 during that time frame. So getting on the pace. And what do they say? Ron Washington said, pass the baton.
Yeah.
So if you get on base,
exactly.
pass it to the next guy. Do something. Help us finish this race.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Trout hit the milestone. I think we posted it. He got his 1001 RBI, so he passed that threshold. He's still about 3 away from 400. Seems like it's taking him a little longer to get there. Plus,
It
he was out
does.
for a couple of games because he was ill. I took it to mean that he was tired of playing for the Angels, or tired of another season of just playing out the string.
He was taking a mental health day.
Or two, yeah. Taylor Ward, he's consistent as well, batting in the low 230s, but a few home runs, 5 home runs. Joe Adell, better in the outfield, and he's been helping Teodosio, who I don't remember his first name, but he's been called up to play center field, so Joe's playing right. And he's playing right, and so that's better for him. And this kid has come up, and like I said, we'll talk about him more next week. But he's come up and seems to be what you want when you call up somebody. They come in and they're playing well, and it could be like Kyron Paris, who came out of the gate hot and then fell off.
Yeah, petered out.
We'll see. But Joe Adell needs to start hitting the ball like he was for that short period. Now he's back only 143 over the 19 games. Reed Detmers, who had been on top of things for a while, ERA over 5. Jose Soriano, 2.16 ERA, even though he had a couple of bad games. Overall, not bad. 20 strikeouts over his 4 games. And then Kenley Jansen, who I think we'll hear more about a little bit later. Over 7 innings pitched. He had a 0 ERA, and he's really been, I think he's an example that if you keep watching how he plays, he goes out there and he does his job every day. And he might have a little struggle here or there, but you see him overcome it, and that's what those guys need to see. So the Halos have Tampa Bay, who they just finished up with that now. Which they're playing at home. If you remember early in the season, they played in Tampa when we were actually supposed to be the other way around. And it was more because rainy season and the humidity in that. So they swapped it out. So they play that series in Anaheim for that. Now they got to go, and they're going to meet tomorrow with the Tigers, and Tarek Skubal is the first one out. And the Angels have every Thursday off during August.
Oh, wow.
So, and then back home after the short 3-gamer to Detroit, back home for the Freeway Series versus the Dodgers. All right, just like I did with the Dodgers, I took a look through and picked a player of our time off. Who did you pick one?
I did.
And who you got?
Picked Kenley Jansen, but it was before I knew about because I hadn't really looked at the overall monthly player winners, and I had no idea.
So yeah, I picked Nolan Shanuel.
Well, he's my second pick, but then I went with Kenley. So
Kenley. Well, I thought about Kenley as well, but I think overall Nolan Shanuel, his just like any day-to-day player, although Kenley can be day-to-day depending on situations.
right.
I think he contributed more to help things keep going.
Yeah, I would agree with that. He was my runner-up. If I could have I would say but
Sure. Who's stopping you?
Okay, winners Nolan Shanuel, because
did I tell you
right
you
here.
couldn't have Co?
Yes.
Haven't we had Co in the past?
You never let me have a player of the.
You know what? It's not me. It's the bros.
That's right. They never let me. The bros.
The
Bro
bros.
is in the back saying you can't do that.
Bros and little brother. time to hop in the bullpen cart, looking all shiny and new. During our time off, it just sat there, got a little polish on it, and an update to the systems. So we're going to take that as we head out for a look around baseball. And as always, we start off with the MLB Players of the Week, and then this time we'll also follow up with some players, etc. of the month.
All right, your players of the week for MLB. In the American League, it is a Trevor Story of the Boston Red Sox.
Wait, who?
Trevor Story. Do you not remember Trevor Story? It was Rocky. And then he's been
kind of forgot about
because he was on the IL. And
when you think Boston, you either think Rafael Devers drama, or you think Jarren Duran.
Yeah, that's true. 391 batting average, 8 RBIs, and a 1.418 OPS over the last week.
Because they 8-2 over their last 10 games. They've been 5-game winning streak, and they passed the Yankees in the so that's definitely helped.
And then in the National League, we go to Colorado, and then NL Player of the Week is Warming Bernabel.
Gotta love that. That should be on our name list. Warming.
Yes.
Too bad he's not a pitcher.
I know. That would be
Warming
awesome.
in the bullpen.
He had 462 batting average.
Warming is warm.
He's warm. He's ready to come in. 4 doubles and a 923 slugging percentage. So he is the player of the week for the National League, which is cool because you don't often see those Colorado Rockies players.
Never.
Yeah,
and that's funny though that one is a current Rockies player and the other one was a former Rockies player.
It's maybe a theme. Maybe the MLB had a theme going on. They just didn't let anybody know, but we figured it out.
Right. It's always us.
We're always
the ones.
Yes.
Nobody else ever seems to catch on to this stuff.
I know.
Come on, Jeff Passan, Ken Rosenthal.
All right. Now we turn our attention to MLB's Players of the Month. And I don't think this is a surprise, but the American League Player of the Month is no other than the A's Nick Kurtz. He had batted .395, had 11 home runs, and 1.433 OPS.
4 of those in one game.
Yes, on July 25th versus the Asterix, he went 6 for 6, 8 RBIs. He's the 20th player in MLB history to have 4 home runs in one game. He also tied the all-time single game record with 19 total bases, and he was slugging .953 for the month.
Isn't he also the first rookie to ever hit 4 home runs in a game?
I believe so. Yes.
Yep. And he almost had 5.
Yes. Almost.
Oh.
And then the NL Player of the Month is from Miami, Kyle Stowers. Hit .364, had 10 home runs and a 1.269 OPS, and he hit safely in 18 of 24 games.
Another team that seems to be making a little noise.
Yeah, making some noise, definitely. And his and an 818 slugging. He was slugging in July. The American League Pitcher of the Month is Nathan Eovaldi of the Texas Rangers. He was 5-0 with a .59 ERA. He gave up 2 earned runs all month. Gave up 21 hits and 30 batters struck out in 30 2/3 innings. And I know this was versus the Angels, but he did pick up his 100th career win. The NL pitcher of the month, as his team falls apart around him, but he stays on the mound, Paul Skenes of the Pittsburgh Pirates. 2 earned runs for the month, very much like Nathan Eovaldi, a .67 ERA, 36 strikeouts. He walked only 3 batters in 27 innings. And we have a double winner because
Is that team, are the Pirates falling down around him, or was it never built up around him?
Oh,
in the
maybe
first place?
yeah, you're right. I gave it too much credit. They never were. The walls were never built. They just had the building supplies, but never
they
built
just set
any.
off to the side.
Yeah, we'll get to it. We'll get to it. A double winner this month. The AL Rookie of the Month is no other than Nick Kurtz of the Athletics. 34 hits, 13 doubles. Mentioned the .395 batting average, a on-base percentage of .480, and slugging of the .953. It had the best slugging in both leagues.
No doubt.
And then the National League rookie is Isaac Collins, .321 batting average, .411 on base percentage. He had 25 hits, but he walked 11 times. 11 times he walked.
Wow.
So, but he is with the Brewers, if you didn't know who Isaac Collins is. Plays for the Brewers. All right, the AL reliever of the month is none other than Kenley Jansen. He had a 0 ERA, as you mentioned, in over 11 in the third innings. He was 5-5 in save opportunities, no walks, 13 strikeouts in his appearances. And then the National League reliever of the month is from he's not from Queens, but he plays in Queens, and he is Edwin Diaz of the New York Mets. 0 ERA, 18 strikeouts over 11 innings. And he was 7-8 in save opportunities. And that's it for the MLB Players of the Month.
All right, before we get to a couple of special games, one being the Speedway Classic and the other one being the All-Star Game, as of the 3rd, so the time we missed, coming into this latest week, league leaders were the Blue Jays. We talked about a little bit before that or earlier. The Tigers in the Central, the Asterix in the West, with Seattle bearing down on them, just a couple of games behind them. The others, the Red Sox, are gaining on the Blue Jays, and then the Guardians are 8 games behind Detroit, but they are over 500. So who knows what will happen there as far as that goes if the Guardians keep playing well. The Phillies and the Mets keep going back and forth atop the East, followed by the Marlins, who are at 500, and they were way down there and battling with the Braves and the Nationals for last. But right now they seem to be pretty strong. Maybe it's a good idea they kept Sandy Alcantara. The Central is led by the Brewers, who have just been on a hot streak all along. The Cubs, who were the talk of the Central for a long time, hold one of the top wild card spots. And then the Dodgers, as of last Thursday, as of last Sunday, had a 3-game lead over the Dregs. The Giants have started to fade. They're at 500 with and 9 games back. The wild card spots are Boston, Seattle, and the Yankees. for the American League. Right now, it looks like the Blue Jays and the Tigers would get the bye, and the Asterix would go in. But they're only a couple of games apart there, so all it takes is for one of those teams to go cold or one of them get on a really good hot streak. The Brewers, who lead everybody in record-wise with 69 wins, it's them and the Dodgers right now with the buys, and then the Phillies as of Sunday with the East, the Cubs, the Dregs, and the Mets in order there for the wild card. So this last weekend, a special game took place in Bristol, Tennessee. First major league game ever played in Bristol, Tennessee. And it was the Speedway Classic. Now, we have talked about this many times.
Many times.
Back in May of 2020, when this the salad days of this this podcast, when we started, we were ready for a full season of baseball, and of course, we got sidetracked with COVID. And so, if you've been listening all this time, you may remember we talked about the different ways to have baseball during COVID. That included distancing and things like that. And then, we also talked about ways to get more fans into the ballpark or to watch baseball. And one of them was Speedway Baseball. Now, while we did say, yeah, you do it at a racetrack, and it was something that was Planethead, we talked about him earlier, Planethead's idea, and we elaborated upon that idea. Also, in the same time that we talked about that, we talked about maybe having UCW, or UCF, I mean.
Yeah.
Ultimate Fighting Championships as part of baseball. And so we came up with a bunch of different ideas.
All kinds of ideas. Gong Show, Thunderdome, Survivor Baseball. I mean, we had everything.
So mostly it was content creation. What can we do? We were taking things that baseball was talking about, that they wanted to make sure that they could do that, because they were talking about rule changes. They were talking about, out of all that stuff came the Ghost Runner, the timer, things like that. So this last weekend, we made it a point to put up some great, I think they were great. Of course,
a lot
not
of people
everybody
did
else
not.
did. We know that this idea has probably been going around for decades. Somebody said, "Oh, let's play baseball in the infield of a racetrack." Okay,
Right.
we know it's not necessarily our idea. Original idea. We just said it during that time frame, and when it came to fruition, we said, "Hey, MLB, you must have been listening to our podcast." And we never heard anything at that time. This weekend, when we posted some stuff about, oh, it's getting rained out, karma, things like that, we got what we would expect from social media, the most hateful, responses. A lot of people told us nobody knew who we were, and I probably not.
Yeah, I'm not going to disagree.
And I thanked them. I thanked everybody that was a nobody that listens.
We love the nobodies.
That. A lot of them were just like F off. Somebody said, then this where the bros thing came in. Clearly somebody who doesn't know our podcast.
No.
Said, oh yeah, you and your bros got together and recorded something about this idea. It doesn't mean that and nobody listens to you anyway. And it's like, okay. And so it was like, hey, it was just a fun idea, but everybody took us seriously, except for MLB. who never
Right.
responded. We never
Never
got any response
responded.
there.
I know. What's crazy? I know. That was really crazy because obviously our idea was, yes, you play the game in the infield of the racetrack. However, Planet had expanded it to while a NASCAR race is going on. And the reason, if you went and listened to the clip that I posted on social media, was because NASCAR has a huge following. Baseball wants to get, has a lot of people obviously that watch, but you combine the two, it would be spectacular.
And it's a win-win because people might find that that didn't really watch racing may find that they liked racing and would tune in. And so both sports would be.
Yeah, everything. I mean, you had the best of both worlds.
But
And
unlike here where they did it without a race, we had the race, which if they hit a home run onto the track, that could cause an issue if there were cars coming by. So we took it a
more
different
exciting.
level.
Yeah.
That's what we were talking about.
We were talking about that, and I didn't know there were so many people that were passionate about this race car having this having a baseball game at a race car track.
I know that you would have thought.
I mean, they were just so passionate, and we were one. I never been called a bro. I mean, there's one bro on this show. And I also was never called some other things. I'm not going to repeat those things on air. So that was it. And at first when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't, this is horrible. Then I showed it to my 17-year-old who immediately started laughing, thought it was hilarious, and then went to bat for us. And as only a Gen Zer can, was, replying all these craziness of that he that he had. And then it became funny. Then it was like, you know what? If you hate us, but you know who we are.
Right. Yeah. Any pub is good pub. And, I didn't respond to the people who were just flat out
Just
F
mean.
you or,
Yeah.
that we were dumb, and that stuff. There were a couple people I responded to. There was one guy who flat out asked, you said that a friend of the show did it, but you didn't say who it was because he did listen to the clip. So I was nice with him, was like, yeah, I get it. And I said, and then it became, why didn't you give Planethead his due in your post? And I said, well, he's part of this. He's part of us. He's a friend of the show. And, we took the idea from him and we did it. I said, we never denied that. He didn't care. It's on there. If you listen to it, we gave credit where credit was due.
Exactly. He does want me to say, this is from Planethead. Planethead is my husband. And that is an affectionate name that Jeff calls him. And if you ever saw him, you would know why. And because, he kind of has a Charlie Brown head. He probably doesn't want me to say that, but he owns it. And so he's, obviously more than, he is a friend of the show, and he's more because, he's my husband.
And I told him, I said, he's a family member. He doesn't care,
No.
But,
no.
And then I asked him if it was Planethead's burner account, which then I never heard anything.
It might have been because Planethead does give me a hard time about, like, as soon as I was talking about, oh, they're doing the Speedway Classic, they're going to be playing at a racetrack. Oh, that was my idea. That's still that was my idea. Now we do have to give a shout out to the Carolina Disco Turkeys, our good friends, because they did it first. 2023, they did play at a racetrack in North Carolina.
They haven't acknowledged that we had the idea before they did it.
I know. So we maybe need to talk about that. But I just didn't know that so many people were passionate about Bristol, Tennessee hosting this NASCAR race. And there's like 28,000 people, I think, that live in Bristol. And this game, they had an all-time, it set all-time record attendance for baseball. 91,032 fans bought tickets to see this game. And many of them, because it's a racetrack, were like really far away from even being able to see, hundreds of feet, away from, because it's a racetrack,
Right. Yeah.
The thing is what's crazy is, and it's sad too, is that it's in Tennessee. We both lived in Tennessee, lived on the border of Tennessee, Kentucky, and it's summer and it rains. And
lot.
Yes, and it rained there, and they did go back. They suspended the game. They did end up playing it on Sunday, finishing it on Sunday, but there were people who couldn't, come back to watch the Sunday game because maybe they had travel plans and they had only been there for that. And they're like, we got to leave, whatever. They just couldn't make it. And there were some things too that were kind of, besides the weather, there were people that said there was no cheese for the nachos, which that's just an abomination right there. I don't.
They not have cheese for their nachos at NASCAR races?
I guess not. You just eat it plain.
Karma.
It is definitely
So
karma.
they didn't have nachos. They just had chips.
They just had chips. It was just chips.
So the biggest trivia question. So write this down so you can answer this later. Maybe get yourself some money. Who is the first major league player to hit a home run in Tennessee in a major league game?
Oh, I just saw this. And I think that he also
did it twice.
Yeah.
Same guy. Do 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 do.
Yeah, just
Eli White. Who?
Eli White.
Eli White. Right fielder. He went 2 for 4 in the game, and both of those were home runs for the Braves.
Didn't Eli White go to the University of Tennessee? Wasn't he a volunteer?
Nope.
He wasn't. Okay.
Nope.
Maybe I saw something else.
From Clemson.
Oh, he was Clemson Taggers. The Taggers, as Dad would say.
Yep. And interestingly enough, he was drafted originally out of high school by the Cincinnati Reds.
Oh.
But then he went to college instead. Anyway, so the Braves walk away with a 4-2 win on that, and we don't know if there'll be another one. At least I didn't hear. Did you hear? They'll try to do this again.
Yeah, I don't know. I think if they do something, I don't know that they'll do it again at a racetrack. Maybe they'll do something bigger.
Well,
they've done things where
every year could be fun. Because they did the Field of Dreams game a couple times. They were at the field there in Birmingham last year. So maybe something else. Yeah. Maybe they could play some stickball out on the streets of New York or something like that.
They could. You could have somebody be like, car,
Right? Yeah, no, see? Just like when you were a kid, you play that and go out and do stickball with a couple of major league teams.
I think that
if they do that, I'm sorry, all the people that are haters. That is our idea.
That's the idea. I can picture it. I picture it now. And yeah, you got to have
somebody falling, trying to get to second base and scraping up their knees on the asphalt or falling in a pothole.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, that was a fun for the players, I guess. Whenever there was a home run, there was a car that went around, and when they first came out, the introductions, players were riding in the back of trucks.
Yeah,
around the track.
Yeah, it was a really cool idea that we had, and to see it come to fruition,
right?
That was, and I just didn't know how passionate people are about
Well,
racetracks
and about who
in
gets
baseball.
credit for it.
And who gets credit? That's the thing. Who gets credit? Maybe they were all Manfred burner accounts.
Maybe. That you never know. You never know. I don't know. Maybe he was, and maybe he was. I think he's a little too preoccupied worrying about Bryce Harper coming to get him.
I think so too.
We'll
Yeah.
talk more about that later on. Not this show, but in a coming show.
Yeah.
Right now, let's talk about the All-Star game, starting with the Home Run Derby, which was honestly, I kind of felt it was anticlimactic. It was very cool, but we already knew who was going to win thanks to 8-year-old Cal Raleigh.
Junior. I like to say junior. I like to throw the junior on his name.
Cal Naughton Jr.
Yeah, it just seems like, yeah. So I did not get to watch the Home Run Derby. It's on ESPN.
I think it was rigged too because his dad was his pitcher and his
and
brother
his
was
brother
his
was the catcher.
So I think it was rigged.
So. Yeah, and his brother is the junior.
I didn't realize that. Yeah,
yeah. His dad is, I think, Todd, and his brother is Todd Jr. Yeah. So. Yeah, I didn't get to watch it. I had you were giving me highlights and through it all. Didn't get to watch the All-Star game as well, but did get to go back and watch. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like the All-Star game I missed something.
The A's kid.
But the Home Run Derby, I didn't feel like I really missed a lot.
No, not really. And the kid from the A's there, Kurtz, hit more home runs in his game than Jazz Chisholm did in the All-Star. I mean, in the Home Run Derby.
And that's the thing is, I mean, I guess with Jazz Chisholm, it kind of just goes along with how he's been playing. And I wonder, I look at Aaron Judge and I think Max Fried were standing there and they were just like shaking their heads like that's him. That's who he is. He went out there. I mean, it's kind of like Mookie Betts. I mean, I'm not comparing Mookie Betts to Jazz Chisholm, but if you think I am, mean tweet away. I don't, whatever. But he, did it. He was like, I got to do it. And he did in Los Angeles. He hit 10 home runs. So way better than Jazz. But yeah. But 3, that's
not good. But Cal Raleigh got that one. And also, played in the All-Star game. Tarek Skubal and Paul Scanes were your starters, as we expected. And not a surprise there. Aaron Boone managing against Dave Roberts. And a lot of changes and everything. We won't go through all of that, but
I did like that they went back to the players wearing their uniforms.
Yes.
I think that's a good change to go, or, bringing that back because
absolutely
we needed that.
That was a good one. The National League jumped out to a lead. At one point it was 6-0. And then I don't know if by the script, that ended when the American League, thanks to Brent Rooker, who hit a home run, a 3-run shot, and a few others that jumped in there. They picked up 4 runs, and then they were able to grab another 2 and tie it all up. They did that in the top of the 9th, and there are no more innings in the All-Star game.
No. Now, and this is another thing that was someone Justin Turner years ago said, why don't we have a swing off? Tongue in cheek, ha ha ha, swing off, and then it happens.
Yes.
But I don't remember seeing anywhere where anybody was like, thank you, Justin Turner.
Yeah, no. What's going on with that? We should have thought about that and seen what kind of hate we could have got out of that for Justin Turner. For us, standing up for Justin Turner.
Yeah, because we like Justin.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy because it's like I didn't know they were going to do this.
Yeah, it was kind of surprised because you were so used to being it's a game and you're going to go into innings. You're going to have would they have had the Ghost Runner? I don't know. They would have. They don't have in postseason, but they probably
So
would have.
so they with the swing off, which of course isn't in the box score. Each team put out three players, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, well, how come there wasn't? Where was Shohei?
Yeah.
Where was They started asking. By the time that the game was over, reports are Shohei was already on his way back to L.A.
Yeah, there was at the end of the game, if you notice the people that were still the players that were still in the dugout, it was not like I didn't remember seeing Freddie Freeman, Shohei, Will Smith. I think they were already on the plane back or wherever they were going. And because it was midnight?
Yeah, they played their part. Once they were out, they knew they weren't going back in. They got dressed or did their thing
Yeah.
and headed back home. And
Never knew. I mean, that's going to happen. I mean, maybe they did, but they didn't stick around for it. But the National League is very thankful that Kyle Schwarber stuck around.
yes, and I think that maybe what we're seeing with the Yankees and how they're playing right now could be connected to how Aaron Boone picked his three.
Mm,
Brent Rooker was a good choice,
yes.
but Aranda from Tampa Bay was not.
No.
So each player got 3 swings.
Yeah.
And
So I was just going to say, so you had, you mentioned Brett Rooker, and he went up against Kyle Stowers of
right,
Miami.
I was thinking about him earlier when you mentioned him. And
Yeah.
So he went up with Kyle Stowers, and Brett Rooker hit 2. And I don't remember, Stowers hit what, 1?
Mm-hmm.
And then followed up. Randy Arozarena was next, and he went up against Schwarber, and Schwarber hit all 3 of his out,
Yeah.
and so Arozarena hit 1.
Mm-hmm.
So it left it down to the final 2, with the American League hitting first. So Jonathan Aranda from the Rays, he comes up with Pete Alonso standing by for the National League.
Just in case.
And Aranda hits 0, goose egg. And so Pete Alonso doesn't even get to hit. And that all of a sudden, Kyle Schwarber's the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
To which he said, that was great, but there was probably somebody else more deserving. But he came up huge, hitting all 3 that put them over the top. And it was the first time, I think, they also, in this game, used the ABS system.
Yes. Yeah. They use the ABS. And I think the more I watch games, I'm in favor of the ABS system.
Some of these umpires recently have really shown that they must be working for the company, the company that provides the ABS, because anyway, Tarek Skubal was able to challenge a call on a strikeout of Manny Machado, and was called a ball, and and they challenged it, and it was a strike. Got just a corner of the zone. What do you think about this this swing off?
I think it was fun, especially for a game like the All-Star game, because All-Star game, the weekend, the whole experience is just supposed to be fun. It's not, I mean, I know they keep the stats for, the National League's won this many times, American League has won this many times, and all of that. But I think it's just supposed to be fun, highlights baseball, highlights fun of baseball. And it does, kind of also incorporate the home run derby into the All-Star game.
Very true. What would you think if they said we're going to change. This is going to become a part of every game that goes to Zinnings.
No, I don't like that.
Some players said they like that better and they think that's how it should be. And I'm sure Anthony Rendon was part of that group,
I'm sure.
to which I say, you don't even play. Why do you care?
Yeah. Mm-mm. He doesn't
No.
get a vote.
No, Anthony Rendon, if we liked him, we probably could set him up with his own, Hall of Fame spot on the
All right. As we go through the Will of IL, I always look for those names that kind of stand out. And for the Athletics, it's shortstop Jacob Wilson, who is on the 10-day IL with a forearm injury. And he's been playing catch, but he has not been cleared for hitting as of yet. And I just want to say this because I think it's funny. Max Muncy of the Athletics is also on the IL. And the Dodgers, Max Muncy, he is off the IL. So, but at some point, I think they were on the IL at the same time. Austin Riley of the Braves is on the 10-day IL. He has a strained lower abdominal muscle. And Ronald Acuna Jr. was diagnosed with a grade 1 lower right calf strain following an MRI. So he is on the 10-day IL as well. And the Orioles, Zach Elfin has some lower back discomfort. He's been on the IL. The Orioles said that he got a injection, so I'm assuming like a cortisone injection to help with that, but no timeline on when he will return. Felix Bautista is on the 15-day IL. He's has significant swelling in his right shoulder. So they're thinking maybe he's eligible to come back September 1st, but they're not sure if when he will come back. Michael Soroka of the Chicago Cubs is on the 15-day IL with a right shoulder strain. So that's one that the Cubs fans are not happy with, that they got him and that has been injured pretty much since he's been with them.
Jameson like Robert Stevenson from the Angels, who pitched one game or a few innings, an inning or two or whatever, one inning actually, and then the next time out was hurt and is now on the 60-day.
Yeah. Miguel Vargas of the Chicago White Sox is on the 10-day IL with a left oblique strain.
Obliques. Jinkies. It's an obliques.
That's That's a good one. I like that one. Oblique. He's out. This is funny because he's not on the IL. And we do need to talk about it, but Emmanuel Clase is just out.
Yes.
But he's not injured. Maybe, character-wise. We'll see. I don't know.
Well, there's something going on in there in Cleveland, apparently.
Definitely. Definitely something going on in Cleveland. Michael Lorenzen of the Kansas City Royals also has an oblique injury, but he's in a rehab start. So he's still on the 15-day IL. See if he comes back from that. So he's still, I guess he was on the wheel. Now is doing rehab. We'll see. Is he well enough that he doesn't have to get back on the wheel?
We shall see.
This one, so Jorge Soler of the Angels is on the 10-day IL with a back injury.
Right.
And he's been there since like July 26th. Chris Taylor, who had been activated because he had fractured his hand, came back and then is back on the IL. And then Juan Makata is not on the IL. He's on the list. He's out. But the reason is pretty cool because he flew to Miami so he could take the U.S. citizenship test.
Which got a lot of people upset. And I could tell by the way these people are that him getting his citizenship would be something that they would be for, I would guess.
Yeah,
but they're mad because why didn't he do it in the off season or on an off day? Why is it happening to him? Because I don't know how this works.
I don't either.
They schedule the test. You don't not go.
Well, and I wonder like how much in advance you have to schedule the test. And it's not like you just call up and say, "Hey, can I take the test on Tuesday?" Yeah. Can I have walk-ins? I don't think that's...
like you can do a DMV. No, you have to.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way. For the Dodgers, Tanner Scott is on the 15-day IL with an elbow inflammation, soreness, I guess, probably. I don't know, inflammation, but he did complete a bullpen session this week. So that is promising. Kike Hernandez is on the IL, the 10-day IL with an elbow inflammation. This is the thing. He's not guaranteed that he's going to be playing for the rest of the season. He has been getting cortisone shots. He's been, that has helped. He's responded to that well. They're hoping to have him back. He's in the dugout every night. It looks like he's grown his hair out. He's got a big mustache now. But we don't know. Hopefully we see him back because we need Kike. Tommy Edman is on the 10-day IL with just his ankle, still having the ankle, sprained right ankle issue. I don't think he was fully healed when he came back from the IL the first time, and it's just kind of exacerbated that. Kirby Yates is also on the 15-day IL with lower back pain. And then, of course, I mentioned Roki Sasaki. He's on the 60-day IL with shoulder issues, but has been facing hitters in Arizona. Haesung Kim is on the 10-day IL again with shoulder. He had left shoulder bursitis, but did get a cortisone shot, has been taking fielders, and has begun swinging a bat. So we'll see when he may come back. Tony Gonsolin, I'm going to mention him because he's on the 60-day IL, and he hasn't even started a throwing program. So not sure about him. And then Michael Kopech was put on the 60-day IL, ends up having surgery for a torn meniscus, but is expected to come back and has started a throwing program. So that's the Dodgers. They're kind of just, they are the will of IL. Jacob Mizorowski of the Brewers is on the 15-day IL with I think that's a fractured tibia. So, wow. But it says he's going to throw a bullpen session. Looks like this week. So, but it's got something. Maybe it's just a hairline fracture. Not sure. Jackson Churrio's on the 10-day IL with a right hamstring strain. They said that they're hoping to get him back in 2 to 4 weeks. He's responded well, but we all know those hamstring strains can be tricky. And Minnesota Twins, Byron Buxton is on the 10-day IL. He's like, you know what? I'm just going to go on the IL. Now, he has been hitting, but he's got rib pain in his ribs. So, but he's still on the IL. See if he comes back anytime. I mean, really, they've got people to play for him, right?
I'm not sure about that.
The people in the crowd. Alec Boehm of the Philadelphia Phillies is on the 10-day IL with a rib injury. He has been fielding ground balls. He's still on the wheel. And Bryce Miller of the Seattle Mariners, elbow is out with his elbow. He's starting pitcher out with elbow on the 15-day IL. There's a lot of guys that are day-to-day, but I have a new policy about that. I don't mention the day-to-day because what happens is I say, oh, they're day-to-day, and then they come back the next day.
That might be a good policy.
So we're not going to go there. George Springer is on the 7-day IL for the concussion protocol. He was going to start a rehab assignment this week, but that has been postponed. So he is out. And then Yimi Garcia is on the 15-day IL with ankle elbow injury. And that concludes the wheel of IL. So a little bit of everything for the wheel this week.
All right. So I think we should hold what's going on with the two Cleveland pitchers until next week.
I think so too, because it's a lot. It's involved. It's
pretty involved. Talking about Luis Ortiz and Emmanuel Clase.
Oh yeah, he's also on the list. Is out.
Yeah, so they're both out until at least the end of August. What we do have to look forward to, as opposed to talking with that, is Little League World Series process has started. The regionals are all playing, so if you've had a chance to stop by ESPN, you might get to see some good Little League baseball. And so we'll talk more about that next week as we get closer and closer to the Little League World Series. And then, of course, next week we'll talk more about what's going on to these two Guardians pitchers, and could it grow to others?
Yeah, who else may be involved? Is it just the pitchers? Are there others in the clubhouse? We'll see what we can follow the story. Oh, before we go, I got to mention this because I thought this was crazy. I was sure it had happened before, but Justin Turner obviously played for the Dodgers. Love Justin. He plays for the Cubs, 40 years old. He hit his first walk-off home run.
Wow.
And he's been playing for how many years now?
Right. And how many times has he had a situation where it could have been a walk-off and it didn't happen?
Yeah. So that's awesome.
Congrats,
Good
JT.
on Red Turn 2.
All right, and that'll do it for this week's Sibling Rivalry Baseball Podcast. We are parking the bullpen cart. Had a nice long trip, so we got it going, aired it out a little bit, I guess. I don't know what you would call it, but got it out there and got it running, took it up to speed. Next week, we will do all of that again. Like I said, we'll talk about Little League World Series. We'll talk about what's going on with the Cleveland pitchers, and we'll talk about what is happening with the Dodgers and the Angels, as always. So a lot that we'll talk about next week. Remember, you can find us and feel free to hate us on Twitter at Sibling Rivalry BB without the A. Also on Blue Sky, but I've heard that Blue Sky's not quite as crazy like that. But I don't know, because we haven't gotten a lot of, and I don't think we posted any of that on Blue Sky.
Yeah, we didn't. So we may have gotten some hate on Blue Sky. I wish we would have. But, you're right. If you want to hate us. I think we're in a good place for that now.
Yes.
You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at Sibling Rivalry BB with the A.
And remember the website, siblingrivalrybb.com. Stop by, hit the Fanatics link, and go out and get yourself some cool gear. And if you are obsessed and crazy about baseball at a racetrack, you could probably get the hats from the Braves and the Reds that were set up to mirror like race car hats and
they're pretty
things
cool
along
looking.
that. Yeah, they were very cool. So there's all that available to you right there through our website, siblingrivalrybb.com, and then the Fanatics link. All right, make sure you go out and see some live baseball. There's not a lot of Little League because they're all playing, getting ready for that, but stop and watch somebody at the Sandlot. But there's plenty of baseball, not only live all over the place between the minors and the majors, but a lot of it on TV, unless, of course, you're blacked out. Janet everything that she's talking about, she just imagined and she just makes it up. And then she reads some stats to try to make it sound good. But really, she doesn't know anything about baseball. Luckily for her, she's got a group of bros hiding that feed her information.
Yeah, they help me out. They give me my notes.
All right, till next week. You have a great week. Like I said, see some baseball, and don't forget to swing away.
My bros.